it's good to, again, get the mindset of people that have been in extreme situations. Jocko is in, right, was a Navy SEAL, right? So obviously you understand the type of mindset a SEAL has to have in pressure, under pressure, in combat, all the whole nine. So the book kind of goes through a lot of those areas where we just need to be a little bit more mentally tough and take more ownership, specifically extreme ownership. But again, there's lots of lessons, lots of reminders in there that we can take from the stuff that we talk about all the time, right? None of this stuff is off base. It's funny because as he's talking, as much as I go through this book, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets, he probably mentioned like five different chapters, right? Like I just know the headings of the chapters, and one of them is like, world class seeks balance. Another one is like you don't let feelings get in the way, right? There were so many different ones because again, there's only a few things we need, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to keep reminding you, there's only a few things you need to do in order to be successful. It's very, very few things. It's just we have to be intentional and focused on those few things. This was a reminder of a couple of things, right? Life without challenges is just existence. Like you have to embrace the adversity. You guys know this, but we all go through adversities that we don't embrace. We like wish them away. We wish it were easier. We wish they weren't here, right? Like we actually that becomes how we operate a ton. And if we can just shift how we think to know that all these adversities, all the challenges come into your life to give you a greater capacity to handle the life you're asking for. Like that's what they're there for. Otherwise, you're just existing. You're just moving through life, like it says in the book, arriving safely at death. You're just existing all the way through. That's not what we're called to do in this life. You're supposed to have the adversity. You're supposed to have the challenges, and then you start getting better as you go through more of them. So again, just a different way of thinking. We have to, like he said, reframe the struggle, reframe what's hard. Those things come into your life. You should be excited for those things. I know, hard to think about. You're not really always excited for the hard stuff. But if you can get your mind to understand that that is what's necessary, that's what's necessary for you to get to greatness, for you to shift your life and get to the place you want to go, then you start looking at that adversity differently, right? Not too high on the highs, not too low on the lows. Your ability to emotionally regulate, your ability to have emotional intelligence. I teach the team this all the time. Not too high on the highs, not too low on the lows, right? When you are an emotional roller coaster, when you're really high when good things happen and you're really low when bad things happen, and this becomes your life, that becomes unmanageable. Anything to the extremes becomes very unmanageable and unhealthy for us. But being able to not get too high on the highs and not get low on the lows, and you are just here throughout life. It's emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, being able to not let your feelings run your life. Yes, we all feel things. Yes, emotions are real. Again, our thoughts lead into our feelings, but yes, our feelings and our emotions are something that are present. But you cannot be too high on the good ones and not too low on the bad ones. You have to learn how to emotionally regulate. If you want to get to the life you don't need a break from. Remember, these are you can do whatever you want in your life. But for the most successful people and success in any area, you have to be able to roll with the punches, so to speak. Not too high on the highs, not too up here on the good stuff and thinking life is amazing, and then not too down thinking life is horrible, right? I heard somebody say this quote, right? That you're never as good as people say you are, or you're never as bad as people say you are, or right, you're never right. It's never as good as people say it is. It's never as bad as people think it is. It's always somewhere in the middle. And your ability to just emotionally regulate to understand that will help you get through these challenges and adversities in life. So it's something to remember. Your excuses will destroy you. Your excuses, the excuses you have in life, will literally destroy your life. This is why getting around people that challenge your thoughts, challenge your excuses. I don't know who you have in your life that challenges your excuses. When you call your best friend or your family member or the person that knows a little bit about you, do they challenge your excuses? Do they say, hey, that's just an excuse. You could do better than that. Or that's not maybe the way to think about it. Like, do you have anyone like that? Because if not, then we have people that keep us comfortable. Y'all know about your comfort zone, right? We talk about it all the time. Nothing good grows in your comfort zone. Nothing can grow in your comfort zone except more comfort. But we are not, but right? Growth is about stepping out of the comfort zone, right? So if all of your friends, family, people that are around you that are your support, they're just comforting to you, you're not growing with them. That you need people around you that actually push you, challenge your thinking, challenge your beliefs, challenge when you make excuses. We all make excuses for something. We all make excuses. It's just our nature. So you need someone to push back at your excuses because your excuses will destroy you. I was trying to download this video that I've shown. I thought I had it on my computer, but I couldn't find it this morning. But it's Venus Williams talking with Elena Cardone, and she basically says the exact same thing. I'll maybe repost it somewhere on social, but like she says, right, discipline leads to freedom, right? Like discipline is freedom. If you are disciplined in things, you can get anything you want. That is freedom. If you have discipline in your health, you can live a healthier lifestyle. You can have all the things that you want. If you're disciplined in your finance, disciplined in your relationships, right? Discipline leads to freedom. The opposite is true. If you're undisciplined, you will be a slave to those things. You will not be free from those things. So, reminding yourself how discipline impacts your freedom is huge. Reminding yourself how discipline will impact the areas that you can feel free in your life is huge. And you got to remember those things. Last thing I put down is you got to start moving. If you are a person that feels stuck, if you are a person that feels like you don't know which direction to go or things aren't moving, you just got to start moving. Motion creates emotion. If you just start moving, if you go in any direction, if you go in any direction, you're making progress because eventually you figure out if you're going the right way or not. But if you're standing, like Jocko said in there, if you're standing in the forest, if you and you're just you don't know where to go, if you're just standing there, you got the same perspective. You got to move around. You got to walk in a different direction. You got to get yourself going. So that's for all of us. If you're in a place where you're a little stuck in your health or you're a little stuck in your finances or you're a little stuck in your relationship or in your career path or in your spiritual life or whatever it is, you just got to start moving, right? You got to start moving towards the things that you want. If it's right, again, any of those areas, relationships, whatever it is, start moving. Don't just stay there. Get going. And when you start getting going, that's when good things start happening to you. You start seeing things from a different perspective. Bunch in the book that I could have correlated to Jocko's talk, right? A bunch. However, the one thing that I wanted to point out was that at the very beginning of that video, he said, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, and then you're going to succeed, right? Like we have to wrap our brain around this failure to success pipeline, right? This failure to success pipeline. Exactly what we need to do is become professional failures. Just learn how to keep trying. To that last point that I was telling you, why people don't start moving is because you almost get paralyzed to think you might not make the right decision or you might not, right? You might fail at the thing. It might not work out the way that you want to. You'll be vulnerable to that person and they'll hurt your feelings, right? Like, so it keeps us immobilized. It keeps us exactly where we are. But we have to embrace this idea of being a professional failure. Embrace this idea of there is no success until you try and fail many times. So in our text, the 177 mental toughness secrets of the world class, it says the great ones are professional failures. Professional. Here's what it says in the text. It says the majority of the differences between amateurs and pros is a subtle separation. It's subtle. It's a slight difference in thinking that makes a big difference in results. The idea of failure is an example of this. Amateurs tend to believe failure is painful and should be avoided in order to make in order to maintain a sense of pride and dignity. In an effort to protect their egos, they attempt only those things that they know they can do. Champions see failure as a necessary building block of mega success and treat it as a teacher. People labeled as failures are amateurs at failing. Successful people are professional failures who have failed their way to success. The difference is in their mental approach. Champions aren't in the business of protecting their egos. They're in the business of learning, growing, and becoming. Let me say that line again. Champions aren't in the business of protecting their egos. They're in the business of learning, growing, and becoming. They see failure as necessary course adjustments, not always pleasant, yet necessary to gain the wisdom and mental toughness it's going to take to make their vision a reality. While amateurs spend a lot of time focusing on how not to fail, pros are dialed in on doing what it takes to succeed. This problem-solving, execution-based focus creates a greater awareness of more potential solutions. Get this one. A focus on failure prevention creates an awareness of fear, lack, and poverty. It's all a matter of where the performer places his attention. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. A focus on failure prevention. If your natural thought process is, how do I not fail? How do I avoid failing in this? It actually creates an awareness of fear, lack, and poverty versus the thought of, what do I need to do to succeed? What must it take for me to succeed in this area? Not, again, you have to see how those things are different. These are the subtle differences that they're talking about when it comes to how you think about something. Because again, if we change our thinking, we change our life. Many of us might have grown up to have a failure prevention awareness, right? Like, I'm trying to prevent not failing. That's why I need a plan B, C, D, and E. That's why I need a backup plan. That's why I need to make sure all these ducks are in a row before I do the thing, right? Like, it's because we're actually trying to prevent failure. But that just creates an awareness of more fear, more lack, and more poverty versus being able to stack up and think about the areas, what it's going to take in order for us to succeed, in order for us to do what we want to do. That is the subtle mindset shift that could help you get to your goals, that could help you get to the life you don't need a break from, right? That's what it means by these subtle differences. How much are you trying to protect your ego? How much are you trying to protect your feelings? How much are you trying to protect your image? How much do you care about what other people around you are saying, what your family would say about it, what your spouse would say about it, what your best friend, your coworkers, da da da. Like, that is, they do things to protect their ego. It says amateurs tend to believe failure is painful and should be avoided in order to maintain a sense of pride and dignity. If you fail too loudly, right? If you tell people what you're going to do and then you don't do it, that hurts your ego, that hurts your pride, that hurts your dignity. You feel like that is a negative thing. But all successful people know the other side. Successful people are professional failures who fail their way to success. You can't care about protecting your ego and your pride and all those things if you want to succeed, if you want to be better in your health, be better in your finances, be better in your relationships, be better in all the areas. You got to know that that's what it takes. It takes you trying and trying and testing and trying and doing and over again and continuing to mess up and continuing to be like, oh, that wasn't the right path. When you're in the woods, when you're in the forest and you just start moving, you might come to a dead end. You don't know where you're going. You might come to a place where you're like, oh, that wasn't the right way. So you turn around and you go a different direction. And eventually, by you doing that, you find your path out of the woods. You find your path out of the forest. These are metaphors for life. This is how your life has, but at some point, most people stop even trying. When's the last time you failed at something that you were trying? Or do you just do things that you know you can do? Do you just do the things that keep you comfortable? Or have you tried things that aren't working, that you fail at, and then you find a different path? Remember, you have to, whatever, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So you got to be focused on solutions. You got to be focused on what it takes to succeed. Do not focus on the failure prevention. Again, I think that sentence is powerful because we don't always think about it. A focus on failure prevention creates an awareness of fear, lack, and poverty. If you want to get out of those things, if you want to get out of the mindsets of fear, lack, and poverty, then we have to be focused on solutions. We have to be focused on what it takes to succeed, and we cannot be scared to fail. You can't be scared to do these things. This quote up here says there can be no failure to a man who has not lost his courage, his character, his self-respect, or his self-confidence. He is still a king, right? You have everything that you need inside of you. There is no such thing as true failure unless you quit, unless you stop, unless you just give up, unless you say, it's not worth me continuing to stay disciplined in my health. It's not worth me continuing to stay disciplined in my finances, right? We're only going to live once. I'm going to do all the things, right? Like when we have that mindset and we kind of give up and we stop actually pursuing it, then yeah, you're not going to get to the life that you deserve. But if you can continue to stay disciplined, discipline equals freedom. If you can continue to get your mind in the right place to focus on the areas to succeed, what it takes to succeed, and not just what it takes to not fail, your life changes. Remember, you change your thinking, you change your life. So these are ways to change how you think so that you can get better outcomes in your life. The action step for today says, ask this critical thinking question: have I been playing it safe to avoid failure? Have you been playing it safe to avoid failure? Have you been playing it safe in your relationships to avoid not being hurt, to avoid someone not wanting to be your friend, not asking that person out, whatever it is? Like, have you played it safe on that side to avoid failure? It says on a scale from 1 to 7, 7 being the highest, how many risks have you taken in effort to make your vision a reality? That vision we keep talking about that you need to have, that you need to have written down, that you need to be reading morning, noon, and night, that you need to be burning into your mind so that you know exactly what your roadmap is, where you're headed with the destination, that vision, how many risks have you taken in order to make that thing a reality? These are some things to think about for you on this Wednesday. Many of this stuff is reminders for you, absolutely. But we don't always do what we know, right? We don't always do what we know. That's the problem. I want you to start acting on the things that you know you should be doing. Cut out the noise, cut out the distractions. I know it's easier said than done. I'm not telling you any of this stuff is easy. It's just the right thing to do if you want to go off and design your ideal life. It's the things that are necessary in order to get your life to the place that you want to have it, that like creating that life you don't need a break from. You have to start shifting how you think about things like failure, your avoidance of certain things, taking risks to make your vision a reality. The best part, ladies and gentlemen, is you get another opportunity to do it today. God woke you up, gave you breath. You can go out and change your life today. You can make it all happen today. And that's why we're here doing this. I love you guys. I love y'all. I want you to win. You deserve to win. Your families deserve to win. If nobody tells you, I will always tell you because it's true. People are counting on you to get this information. Go out there, do something with it, change your life. And the people around you, their lives will change just because they're in proximity to you. So let's go out and make it happen. Do something that scares you today. I'll see you back here on Friday. Love you guys. Take care.